What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know we got the big game coming up here in a couple days against them Georgia Bulldogs. A game that I came on here and said, you know what, I'm not going to be surprised if we go out here and give these guys a ball game. You know, having 2 weeks to prepare, the season going the way it's gone. I mean, I think these guys have nothing to lose, and we're going to come out here and play hard. But that's not the purpose of this video. I know a lot of guys have been kind of requesting a little bit of talk about my experience at Vandy and playing at Neyland Stadium and that whole deal, and what it was like to grow up a Tennessee fan and go to Vandy and how did I choose Vandy and all that stuff. So I'll go ahead and get into it here. So grew up a huge Tennessee Vol fan. My dad's from Nashville, and like he says, you know, growing up in Nashville, you're either a Tennessee fan or you're a Vandy fan. And he obviously was a Tennessee fan. He actually grew up hating Vandy. Now, I grew up never hated Vandy because they were never relevant. Like, I don't think we lost to Vandy until I was like, and I was pretty old, you know, by the time we finally lost to Vandy. So I never looked at them as a threat. It was never really a rivalry game to me. And so I didn't have the same hate for Vandy that he kind of did growing up. But I was always a Tennessee Vol fan from the time I was really, really little, you know, like 3, 4 years old. I was watching football, understanding football. When I was 4 years old, we actually won. That was in 1998. We won the national championship. I guess I was actually 5 years old that year. Yep, I was 5 years old. And yeah, man, it was my first kind of my first real season of really being able to watch football and understand it and kind of appreciate that we were winning the whole thing. And I've kind of been chasing that high ever since as a Tennessee Vol fan. So it's been a long, 21 years, however long it's been since we won that thing. Um, so yeah, I've always been a Tennessee Vol fan. Wanted to go to Tennessee my whole life. I went to Buford High School, which is a very prestigious high school down here in Georgia, in Gwinnett County. My senior year, I guess actually my junior year, we tied the state record for most consecutive state championships with 5. And my whole high school career, I think I lost 3 games, and one of those being in the state championship my senior year, we lost. But very, very prestigious high school, and I say that to say my coaching staff, they knew I was a Tennessee Vol fan, knew I loved Tennessee, and knew I wanted to go there. And so my head coach actually kind of got me almost like a one-on-one tryout with the Tennessee coaching staff. This was my heading into my senior season, I believe. Yeah, so summer of my junior year, heading into my senior season, and got me one-on-one tryout at a camp up there. And I believe Derek Dooley was the head coach at that time. I think that was his. No, it wasn't his last season. I think he had one more season after that season. So he had 2 seasons left. But went up there for a camp. Kind of a crazy story. So well, not really crazy, but just kind of weird. Like we got up there late to the camp. So the camp, it started. Not sure what time it started, but the first thing that they did, obviously they stretched and warmed up, and then the first thing they did after that was run the 40s, right? And so I got there late. I think we hit some traffic or something on 85, and ended up getting there late. So I missed the 40s. Didn't get to do that. So when I got there, I kind of warmed up on my own, and then they threw me in there. And the first thing I did was the 5-10-5 short shuttle. And my very first rep, I remember going and doing it, and I kind of planted a little wrong on my toe, and I got turf toe. Very first rep, I got turf toe. I didn't know it was turf toe at the time. I just knew my toe hurt like crazy, and I think it did kind of affect me the rest of the day. But I mean, I fought through it, and I felt like I did pretty well. So did the shuttle. Don't remember what I ran the shuttle. I'm sure it was like a 4.4 or 4.3. Wasn't a great time, but it wasn't bad. And did that, and then we went through the rest of the drills. We did like some speed drill type work, so doing like run over bags and doing some cone drills and stuff. It was like a full workout, kind of like a full workout you would do with like an off-season football program. It was pretty intensive. And after we did that, we went outside and started doing some DB work. And they actually pulled me aside with the DB coach. I forget his name, but they pulled me and another guy. You guys may know his name, Jalen Ramsey. We were the 2 guys they pulled aside to kind of get some one-on-one work in. And Jalen Ramsey was a year under me, so he was only if I was a junior, he was a sophomore. And yeah, they pulled us aside, and we were going through drills, doing some footwork stuff, and just doing some DB work. And my dad actually recorded everything. I wish I could find the videos. I think he has them somewhere on his phone or something. But he was recording the videos, and not trying to be biased, but I think we looked pretty even. I mean, I think I looked better than him. I mean, that's just me, but I mean, my footwork was crisp and clean. He was a little bit bigger than me. He was a big kid. He was like 190, already as a sophomore. So he was a big kid and already had a lot of buzz around him. Whereas I was only like 145, 150. I was a lot smaller frame. But just as far as the footwork and stuff goes, I mean, footwork looked great, hips looked great. You know, I mean, I looked every bit as good as he did, if not better, in my opinion. And went from there to one-on-ones. I did well in one-on-ones and everything. And so the camp was complete. We did the full camp, and you know, they called us up and kind of said some parting words to us. And I was walking off the field to get ready to go home and everything. And as I'm walking off, somebody kind of grabs me. It was one of the assistants or something, and they were like, "Hey, you know what? Your Paris head right?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And he was like, "We never got your 40 time. Come run this 40 for us." And so I was like, "Okay," but I kind of had a feeling it was going to be a bad time because I had turf toe and we had been sitting for a while. And after you sit for a while, the adrenaline wears off. You start to kind of feel the pain and the soreness. I was a little sore and tired from working out. I mean, just imagine going out there running around for 2 hours and being drained of energy. And all of a sudden now, okay, it's time to go perform and run a 40. And so I knew I wasn't going to be at my best, but I said, what the heck, I'll give it a go. And I ran the 40. I ran a 4.6, which I was definitely a 4.4 guy at the time. I ran a 4.6, and I think all those things I just mentioned factored into that. And so the DB coach kind of came up to us and was like, "Hey, had a good day, but with your size, we'd like to see you run at least a 4.5." So it was like, "I'll tell you what, you can come back up here anytime you want. Just call us, let us know you're on the way, and we'll get someone to come out here and time you in the 40. If you hit a 4.5 or better, we'll give you an offer." And so I was like, "Okay, sounds good, But as I was heading back home, I was thinking about it and was like, you know what? Tennessee ain't doing nothing right now. I don't like Dooley, don't like the DB coach. Not feeling the vibe. They obviously don't really want me if they're not going to offer me, with the circumstances with the 40 time after the entire camp and all that stuff." So I said, you know what, I'm not going to even entertain that idea. And I already had an offer from Vandy at the time, and so I said, I'm just going to commit to Vandy. And a few weeks later, I ended up doing that, and decided to go to Vandy. And that's kind of how I ended up at Vandy. And I guess a little bit of reason why I chose Vandy over anybody else. So I had some other offers. I had like Georgia Tech and Boston College, Middle Tennessee State, FIU, a lot of smaller schools kind of like that. So Vandy was arguably probably the best offer I had. And James Franklin, it was his first year. So my senior season was his first year as the head coach, right? So I hadn't seen him play yet. I'd only met him and met his staff, and man, he instantly he's a guy that kind of commands his presence, when he walks into a room, right? Like, I mean, he has a presence about him, and he's a very straightforward guy. Whatever he says, you kind of tend to believe it. I mean, he just shoots you straight. You just tend to believe in whatever he's trying to sell you. And I believed in him, believed in his whole staff. They really created a family environment, which is something in high school they kind of told us, hey, when you get to college, it's not going to be like it is here in high school. It's not going to be a family vibe. It's going to be a lot more individual, a lot more of a business type atmosphere. But with him at Vandy, he didn't create that atmosphere at all. It was a much more family vibe. Really kind of had me bought in. I mean, he was the type of guy, like my parents literally could call him at any time, and he would pick up the phone and answer. And this was like when I got there, Like he literally answered the phone for all his players' parents. So, I mean, was a very welcoming guy. And like I said, my dad's from Nashville, so I have aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins that live literally about 10 minutes from the campus. So there's nothing for me to go home for a home cooked meal to my grandma's house or my aunt's house and sleep in a big comfy bed or whatever it was. And it was always kind of like a second home for me anyway, being up there in Nashville. I was up there as a kid going to visit my family. So it was just a great fit. Obviously, great education there at Vandy. And my aunt actually works for Vanderbilt Medical Center. So she was able to get me a job up there doing that. So, it was just a great experience for me. And just couldn't turn it down, And Vandy went out there. They had been 2-10 the previous 2 years before Franklin had gotten there. And his first year there, they go 6-6, and we're really close to beating some pretty decent teams that year as well. And I got there next year, very excited about the direction of the program, and went up there my freshman season. I redshirted. Technically, it was called a yellow shirt, which meant I got to travel to pretty much all the away games and was kind of the reserve if maybe a couple of DBs went down. I was the guy that they were gonna consider throwing in there to give us some depth and keep the numbers up. Um, but yeah, went up there, man. Had a great year. Went 9-4 my redshirt freshman season. Um, so we beat Tennessee that year. Now that was the game. Kind of we took credit for getting duly fired that year because I think his last game was against us. It beat him like 41-24. Which, by the way, we got to see. I got to see Cordell Patterson in person that year. I was on the sideline watching him, and he's to this day still the most explosive player I've ever seen in person. I mean, he is ridiculous. I mean, his cuts are so explosive. He's tough to tackle. He can make 3 or 4 guys miss in the blink of an eye. I mean, he's a special player, and it's no secret why he's still in the league, even though he's not really like a elite receiver, but he's just a guy you just look at him, and you say, man, this guy can do it all for you. He plays from running back, plays receiver, plays kickoff return, punt return. I mean, he can do it all for you. So, total package guy, and I saw that firsthand. Best player I've seen in person. And that's something too, playing in the SEC. People say, well, what's it like, playing against those guys? Outside of Cordell Patterson, and I will also say Mike Evans stuck out to me. Outside of those 2 guys, I mean, it really is nothing special. I mean, those guys, I mean, they're big, they're fast, but I mean, it's just football, It's really nothing too crazy. Mike Evans sticks out. We played him my redshirt freshman year. Played at Texas A&M. We also played Johnny Manziel. He didn't really do anything against us, and I kind of knew then that he wasn't going to be anything special in the NFL because he didn't do anything against us really. But Mike Evans, I was actually on punt return team, and Mike Evans was the guy lined up across from me. And it's kind of a funny story. So I was like pressing him, trying to block him from getting down to the punt returner, and he was like, "Hey man, let's just take it easy right here, It's just punt, let's not go hard." And I was like, "Oh yeah, all right," kind of knowing he was just trying to get to me. And so I tried to press him off the line. He gave me a quick little 1-2, and I mean he took off down the field. Like I said, I was like a 4-4, maybe even 4-3 guy by this time, and I had a hard time staying with him. I mean he was moving at 6'5", like 240, however big it was. One of the fastest guys I've ever had to cover one-on-one like that. And I knew right then and there, I was like, this guy's going to be a special player, and he's still in the league doing his thing. So, but yeah, him and Cordell were really the only 2 guys stuck out to me. Johnny Manziel, like I said, wasn't anything special. Never played Todd Gurley. He was hurt my redshirt freshman year, so I didn't get to go against him. But I know he ran all over us my true freshman year. Just ran all over us like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, we actually beat Georgia my redshirt freshman season. They came to our house. It was a great game. We were losing early, but we kind of stormed back in the second half and ended up beating those guys by like 5 points or something. I forget the score, but we ended up beating them, and that was a big game for me. I had the whole team fired up, ready to go. I was intense in practice, letting them know, hey, this is a game we cannot lose, and we went out there and fought hard and ended up putting on those guys. They couldn't do anything on us, so it was a great game. And then got my first career pick against Kentucky. Was playing press man and got around to fade on me. He actually beat me off the line, but I used my makeup speed, and it was actually on our sideline. So I remember running and catching up to him, getting back in phase, and I could actually hear my sideline yell, "Ball," ball. And so actually that week in practice was the first time I had heard anyone tell me this. Whenever you're covering a receiver, when you look back for the ball, don't look back, look up, because the ball's probably already in the air. And so I actually was able to kind of think of that as I was doing it. And so I looked up, and the ball was literally coming right over my shoulder, and I shot my hands up, ball fell right in the breadbasket, and I catch it as I'm falling to the ground. And my first career pick, and it was exciting, man. It was in Vandy, home crowd, and just remember the sideline going crazy, everyone going crazy for me. Everyone calls me P-Head. P-Head, man, P-Head. Everyone's excited for me. So it was a great experience. And the very next week, we played Tennessee in Neyland Stadium. And that was a crazy game. First of all, I'm not the type of guy that really takes in the scenery when I'm in a stadium. Like, I don't remember playing really in any stadium besides Tennessee. And part of that was probably because I was a Tennessee fan. And, it was a stadium I always dreamed of playing in since I was a little kid. So I did kind of take some time to say, man, this is it. This is Neyland. And man, it's a beautiful, beautiful stadium. I mean, when you're down there on the field, you look up and it just goes on forever. It just expands forever around the stadium. It's just a beautiful, beautiful stadium. Nicest stadium I've ever been to. I mean, just phenomenal, phenomenal atmosphere. I mean, absolutely top notch everything there. And yeah, man. So we go out there in that game. It was a close game. I think we ended up winning 14-9 or something like that. Uh, it was a crazy game though. So all four of our starting DBs went out that game. Um, they went out that game. So I was a guy as a redshirt freshman. I was a guy that rotated in. So the starters would get 2 to 3 series, and then I would go in, right? And I had two really good stars in front of me. They're both seniors. One of them was Andre Howe, who had a good career in the league with the Houston Texans. Actually moved to safety when he got to the league, but he was really good. And then another guy named Stephen Clark went on to have a nice career in the Canadian League. And they were both really, really good players, and they're both seniors, so I didn't have any problem not, starting over those guys. They were really, really good. But I came in and spelled those guys from time to time. And so our first guy that went down was our cornerback, our starting cornerback, Andre Howe, going to recover a fumble. Harper extends his elbow. He's out for the game. So I was the first guy off the bench. So I came in, and my first drive in the game, Josh Dobbs was quarterback against us. I think he was a true freshman that year, I believe, because he's a year below me, I think. True freshman. And was covering a guy, Jason Kroom, who was a guy from right here in Gwinnett County. Played against him coming up through rec ball. He was about 6'2" in 8th grade, so he was always a big kid. And going against him, and I remember we were playing cover 4, and I was outside leverage on him. I was reading the quarterback, but I could see Kroom at the corner of my eye. Take my pedal. I see Dobbs turn to throw. As he turns to throw, he starts to kind of wind his arm back, and I just break on the ball. So I'm breaking before Kroom breaks. I'm already breaking on the ball, and he lets it go. Bang. I jump right in front of him. Ball hits me right in my arm. I almost fumble it, but I end up catching it and falling to the ground, and I get my first career pick. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got a pick against Tennessee in the stadium. This is unbelievable. Back-to-back weeks getting picks, and my confidence was sky high, and it was crazy, man, because we ended up getting the other 3 DBs end up going out as well. I forget. I know one guy got targeting, and I know that one of our safeties had a shoulder issue, so I think his shoulder started acting up. He went out, and then I think the other corner ended up getting hurt or something too that game. So, I mean, it was crazy. All 4 of our DBs went out, and so I was in, redshirt freshman, another corner, redshirt freshman was in my class, was in, and then we had 2 redshirt sophomores at safety. And so we had a really young, inexperienced secondary out there, but they had an inexperienced quarterback in Dobbs, so they couldn't really do much on us. And we just held them down all game. And I remember they were moving the ball on us, had to settle for a field goal. And so I was out there on the field goal block team. And so my job is really to kind of be like, so there's 2 ends that rush off the edge, right? So either if you're not rushing off the edge, you're kind of sitting and just making sure nothing crosses your face. And so the rush was coming from the other side, so I was just sitting, making sure nothing crossed my face. And I seen it was the holder. So the holder, I guess he got the ball flipped up to the kicker, and then I see him cross my face coming out. So I say, oh well, let me run with this guy. It's fake. And Pilardi was the kicker at the time, a left-handed guy, and I remember him going back, just throwing it up for grabs, threw it up like a mile high in the sky, and I'm running with the holder, and takes that ball 10 weeks to come down. I go up and high point it, grab it, and he's actually able to kind of grab onto me a little bit, and slow me down. And I was about to break free and score a touchdown, but I see Tiny Richardson coming to take my head off, and I went ahead and went down, and he shot right over my head, just missed me, but it's like, wow, I got 2 picks in the stadium. How freaking cool is this? And it was a great experience, man. Going out there playing Tennessee and doing well against them, and kind of saying, you guys should have offered me a scholarship. You know what I mean? You should have offered me a scholarship. I'd have been here doing it for you guys. But I understood that was Derek Dooley. He didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't a great coach, so didn't really lose any love for Tennessee at the time. And kind of funny, another funny thing, after the game, we're walking off the field. We're walking off the field, and the fans were throwing like water bottles at us, like water bottles full of water, which throw throwing it from 20 yards away, how far they were, can actually hurt you. But they were throwing bottles at us. It was crazy. We get into the shower. This is in late November when we're playing them, and it's freezing cold outside. It's probably the coldest game I played in. We get in the showers, ready to take a nice warm shower. They turn off the hot water on us, so we're having to take ice cold showers in the freaking shower. But that didn't rain our parade. We were still happy, turned up, get in, get out type of shower, real quick deal. But yeah, man, we did that, and it was a great experience, man. Hostile environment, crazy fan base, top notch facilities, top notch stadium. Ended up being a great ball game, and I was kind of it for the season. I ended up getting 3 picks that year, in back-to-back weeks too. So it was really cool. And so playing for Vandy and playing against Tennessee every year for me, it was a deal where I kind of become numb to Tennessee. Like I didn't follow them, didn't really care much about them at the time. It was kind of weird. I did go for them, right? So I never want them to lose. And whenever we played them, I mean, if they would have beat us, I wouldn't have really cared. I'm like, oh, hey, this Tennessee won, It was funny too. Every week we played them, we work on crowd noise, right? And so when we played Tennessee, they'll play Rocky Top. They blast them through the speakers during practice all week, and everyone just hated the song. Oh man, I hate Rocky Top, but I freaking loved it, man. I was having the time of my life in practice. I was like, man, this is my favorite song, Rocky Top. Singing Rocky Top. I mean, it was absolutely awesome. I loved it. Of course, I didn't really let on like people know I loved it, but I mean, I loved it. My roommate knew I liked Tennessee, so he kind of like, P head over here loving this. But it was a fun experience, man. And then so after that season, we went 9-4. We're really close to beating some pretty good teams. We had a chance to actually go to the SEC championship game that year. We lost to South Carolina, really close game, and lost to one more team. It was a really close game. I think it was Ole Miss. We lost a really close game to them as well. And so we won those 2 games. Our only loss would have been to because that year we beat so we lost to that year we beat Florida, Tennessee, Georgia. We beat everyone except South Carolina, Ole Miss in the SEC, and we lost like Northwestern somehow, and we lost one more game, I believe. But we had a really good year, and I had a chance to, like I said, play for the SEC championship game. We were doing really good under Coach Franklin, and so he ends up leaving that winter, and we bring in Derek Mason from Stanford, and he comes in. He's not really a guy that's ready to be a head ball coach. Didn't like the way he treated players. He was really kind of putting guys, because we were a team, we were having success. We had a lot of good players. Coach Franklin was recruiting, had good classes, brought in 2 top 25 classes for the first time in Vanderbilt history, back-to-back years. He had a lot of talent on the roster, but he wasn't playing the guys that should have been playing. He was putting in guys that didn't deserve to play and weren't as good, and it was just treating guys without any respect. And so I lost respect for him and for the staff. I was still starting, but I lost respect for him and the staff, and ended up getting a concussion against Ole Miss. And football's one of those games, man. It's a game where you really have to love it and love the guys you're playing for. And I was kind of gotten to the point where, having a concussion, hearing about CTE and all that stuff, and knowing that I didn't feel like these coaches had my back and that they really cared about me as a player and as a person. Got to the point where I just didn't have the juice anymore. I didn't want to play anymore. Wasn't motivated for games. Just didn't have the love for it, and so felt like I wasn't able to give my all to the game anymore. And at that point, I said, if I'm not able to give my all to it, I'm out of here. And so I actually talked to the athletic director and said, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling Coach Mason, and I don't have a love for the game anymore. And he understood, because he was getting a lot of complaints from players and things like that. And so he went ahead and agreed to let me keep my scholarship and quit the team. And so that's what I did, and finished out my year and a half of school and got my degree. And and that's kind of that. That's my football career. And so it's a deal where I probably had a chance to go play pro and do that whole deal. But like I said, just didn't have the love for it. And that's a game you have to love, because there's a lot that goes into it. It's very demanding on your body, on your mind, on your time. And I just had lost my love for it. I think if Franklin had stayed, I would have been able to continue to push through it. But when he left, didn't have that same close-knit vibe. And so I just kind of got to the point where with the staff anymore and just wasn't willing to lay it on the line for those guys. And so I got out of there, and once I quit, I was right back with the Vols. Was still all Vol. Going back to watching all the games, rooting for them, learning about the players, where they're from, who they are, all that stuff, and started to hate Butch Jones, and was happy whenever he got let go and we hired Jeremy Pruitt, and now I'm here. Now I'm here back being a Vol. So that's kind of my story. I know it's not a whole lot, maybe not the most interesting thing in the world, but you guys wanted to hear it, so there it is. This video's kind of gone on a little bit longer than I wanted to, but that's my story, man. So if there's anything I left out you guys like to hear about or know about, comment below, and I'll be sure to answer that for you. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that video you've been asking for a while, and that's kind of my experience of playing for Vandy and being a Tennessee Vol fan the whole time while I was at it. So, as always, man, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next video.